Well, today, as you know, is Africa Day. The day's historical roots stem from the formation of the original African Union, but it also presents an opportunity to reflect on continental issues such as the strengthening of weak African economies, water management, or identity for the continent. The Human Sciences Research Council's African Unity Renaissance International Conference that's been running since Sunday held a PhD student colloquium that brought together 80 PhD students from the continent to discuss how they can use their skills to take Africa forward. Vedaste NDIZERA is a PhD student from Rwanda, and he took part in the colloquium. Here with the Executive Director of the African Program, Dr. Claudious Chikozho. Good to have both of you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you.
Thank you. Morning.
So let's begin with you, Dr. Chikozho. What is important to use research-based analysis to contribute to Africa's development?
Basically, well, we are now saying for a long time, governments, policymakers have been just designing programs for the country, for national development processes, but the importance of evidence in terms of informing those programs is beginning to be recognized widely throughout the world. Evidence enables us to develop relevant programs and projects that facilitate development processes, economic and social development.
I find it quite interesting, and I'm going to bring our qualified student here into the conversation. You're a PhD student of governance and regional integration. Yes. What does it entail to get a PhD in this, and how do you feel that it's actually helping the continent?
Actually, we feel that it's very important for Africans to study about the governance of the continent, the countries on the African continent, and that's why we are doing a PhD in governance and regional integration. We think the policies, as the director was saying, the policies that governments put in place need to be informed by research.
Yeah.
And the best way to do good research is to learn how to do it. And by doing a PhD in governance and regional integration, we hope to contribute in that sense of being able to do significant research that can inform policies on African continent.
Yeah. Now, I mean, from a perspective of doing a PhD in this and really going deep into the research, which areas do you find are of general concern when you're looking into this research and helping with some of the solutions that come out of it?
You mean research in terms of governance research?
Yeah.
I think the African continent is several hotspots that we may call them hotspots, where we have pockets of conflict, which has remained very resilient. For instance, you look at DRC, Congo, you look at Somalia, you look at Uganda and so on. Countries where issues of governance are at the heart of the conflicts in those countries. Usually related to resource sharing as well, sharing of national resources, where certain groups feel excluded. And I think our researchers are then able to disaggregate the key causes of those conflicts and perhaps begin to identify some of the possible solutions that could help the continent move forward.
Well, I mean, let's talk about your home country, which is Rwanda. Yes. And we've been saying, I mean, Rwanda has moved so far from a time where things were atrocious. But now, I mean, everybody speaks about Rwanda, how Rwanda is managing to turn itself around. And yet, of course, in every country there is still a lot of challenges. But where do you find that in Rwanda there are those challenges that need a continental response?
Rwanda has made progress in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's because of the efficiency with which the government has managed to tackle different problems. There's some problems which still exist are related to poverty in some rural areas and access to education, to clean water. Those problems are being alleviated, but they still exist. So a solution needs to continue to be fetched, to be found, to solve those problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Everything you've mentioned there is what we here in South Africa struggle with as well. As much as you look at South Africa as a developed country, looking fantastic, I mean, as soon as you move those into the rural areas, out of the urban areas, there's where your problems start. And it's the education, it's water, it's poverty, unemployment. It seems like this is a major continental issue, is that there are different countries with different problems, but there seems to be those glaring problems that are affecting every African country.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a couple of countries that are considered to be growing rapidly economically. You talk of Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, and so on. Even South Africa, you know, is fairly stable, Botswana, and so on. But when you look at the data, you'll still find that there are certain parts of the country that experience poverty and inequality. There are certain groups that are not necessarily enjoying the same things that certain classes take for we consider like we take for granted.
Indeed.
For instance, access to water in the urban areas.
Yeah.
We take it for granted. If you go to the rural areas, it would be a different story. But even in some parts of the urban areas, you still have people who are toiling, for instance, here in South Africa, for water, and other basic services. So yes, we are growing economically, but we still have those challenges to deal with, and it's across the continent. Yeah. It's not just poor countries.
I want to wrap up this conversation in the interest of time, but just a final question for you. In terms of meeting fellows that have also done these PhDs from the different African countries, what has it been like for you interacting with them and also the things that they're doing in their countries to help?
Yes, it has been really amazing to meet all these researchers, all our colleagues who are doing PhDs in different parts of Africa, to hear about what they are doing as research, and it helped us to know a lot about what is going on the continent in terms of research and in terms of what problems need to be researched. And it has been a very enriching experience to learn not only about the methodology of doing the research, but also to demystify this idea of doing a PhD. When you think about a PhD, sometimes you think about something very big, but we have been able to see that what is important in doing a PhD is to be able to trace the contours of knowledge and see how you can push a little bit on that and contribute to the knowledge.
Well, I think it's absolutely wonderful, and I wish you the best of luck going forward for all of it. Is there a website if people want to apply for this PhD? Where do they go?
PhDs are run by universities, so you have to
apply into the university
through a particular university.
So a political university, that's where anybody would be able to sort of hopefully qualify and be able to apply for that.
Depending on your topic, a particular university department will provide guidance in terms of applying for.
Well, thank you for coming in. Thanks for talking to us all about this. It's the public encouraged to interact with the 7th Annual African Unity for Renaissance International Conference Africa Day activities. Quite a mouthful. They're at Freedom Park in Pretoria. There are lots of academics from all over the continent that are having a discussion there. Thanks so much to my guests for coming in and talking to us on this Africa Day. Dr. Claudious Chikozho, the Executive Director of African Institute, and Vedaste NDIZERA, who is the Rwandan Ph.D. student taking part in the conference. Let's take a break.